Hi, I'm Sean Crystal, and I host Inkpulp Audio, and I'm here with a message for you all. Inkpulp Audio is dead. Now hold on. My podcast will still go on. It will have a new title, and it'll have a bunch of new different formats. It's just going to be called the Inkpulp Podcast. And I've got some notes over here. I got to keep checking to make sure I'm keeping you up. Okay, why? Why am I doing this? I started Inkpulp Audio. It was probably 7-8 years ago now. And I'm sorry, the lighting is terrible in here. I'm working on that. That's all part of the new podcast. I'm going to get to that. I started it for a lot of reasons. You've listened. You know why. Don't need to go over and over and over on it. I've grown. I've learned. I see what I've done. I'm very proud of what we've done with that podcast, and I'm very excited about what we're going to do. Everything I've learned that works will keep going, and I'll be moving forward with other ideas. But I see the time on Inkpulp Audio as a time spent learning. It has now been a sketch or a template for where I'm going. I originally was only doing them in person for a reason. The intimate conversations I was having, I felt only occurred when two humans are together, and I agree with that, and I stand by it, and that will still happen. Promise you. There will be some of that, but there will be more than that. I've discovered that I've avoided internet conversations for more than that reason. One, because when you're interviewing someone over the internet, and I know this from just doing interviews for podcasts, where not on my podcast, but I was a guest on other podcasts, where you get a little distracted with things around you. It can be the computer in front of you. It can be someone calling or texting you, all that jazz. So I never liked it. I felt like it was disruptive, and it wasn't a fully engaged conversation. But I've learned something. Now that I have video capabilities, and while I'm drawing with my guest or guests, I find we're all connecting on a very unique level. And that's something I've really enjoyed capturing. If you've been watching Season 9, The Quarantine Chronicles, which I'm sure you have, because you're watching this, so you're aware of what I've been doing on YouTube. So we'll continue to put the audio versions of everything up on Spotify and YouTube and all the audio channels, but there's going to be some things that just won't translate now that I have video capabilities. So I will be doing a lot of new stuff. So, sorry, I wrote a whole bunch of notes so I'd make sure I was communicating everything properly. So this was the prototype. I did that. All right, so this virus hit. Fucked us all up. It's fucking us all up right now. It's a really strange and scary and anxiety-riddled thing we're living through. But as you know, I've spent a lot of time working on myself over the years, and instead of wallowing in the misery of it, I've tried to toughen my mind and look for opportunities of it. One is right in front of you. You're watching me. You're seeing me. The virus opened up the idea of video capabilities for me. And I knew I wanted to get there, but I didn't have that fire under me to get it going, and I do now. So this was sort of an accelerant for where I wanted to go, and it also gave me a lot of clarity. I didn't know what I was going to do with the podcast. I knew before the Quarantine Chronicles, I was going to just take another trip like I did Portland, but I just felt like I was repeating the same thing, and there wasn't. I don't know. I don't know. It needed some fresh air. It needed to grow. I was a plant in a pot that had become too small for the roots. That's what it is. So it's time to grow. Now I've got a giant pot, and my roots are going to have a lot of room to grow in. So a lot of exciting things are happening. One is my podcast will be aired on Farside TV, which is Farside.tv, which is an internet channel owned by the hip-hop group The Farside. If you're of my era, you're freaking out right now, just as I was when they approached me about it. I'm just a huge fan of The Farside, and more on that later. That's going to come. But I'm going to ask you right now to go to Farside TV's Instagram and follow them, because we will be running promos on there within the next week, I believe. Next week or two. And we're going to run promos for a little while to build up the interest, and then we're going to start releasing. So these episodes will premiere, the Inkpulp podcast episodes will premiere on the Farsides Network, and then the next day will be popped up on my YouTube channel. And the audio versions will filter down through the audio channels. But I'm telling you, this video component is going to be really cool. And I encourage you to listen. I'm learning, and I'm working out the kinks of working this way. I've got a HD cam now. And I'm hoping to get an even better one soon. I've just ordered a new microphone, so the audio quality is going to be that of what you're used to with Inkpulp Audio for my end. I will be interviewing guests as we draw. There'll be different challenges. In the first episode that I'm going to air is me, Tommy Lee Edwards, Jim Mahfood, and Matteo Scalera, my Fratelli bro. We're going to be inking each other. We all switched drawings, and we're inking each other. And if you've been watching the Quarantine Chronicles, you've seen me inking, all of us inking other people. But now this was a special one. And we're going to do more of those. I'm going to do one-on-ones. I'm going to have 2, 3, 4 guests at a time. I'm going to have artists of all different genres, not just drawing, but I'm going to have hip-hop artists on here. I'm going to have creative minds wherever I can find them on the podcast. So that part is going to be kind of a new format for Inkpulp Audio. I'll be doing one-on-ones and interviewing while I'm drawing. I'll be doing ones like the first episode you'll see, which is a group of us just having fun. You'll get some instruction out of that too, I'm sure. But there'll be more than that type of podcast here. Inkpulp instruction is coming. I've mentioned that a few times. This virus kind of got in the way, but when things settle down, I'll be recording those instructional videos. I'll start off with inking, and I'll have guests. I'll do the first few myself, and then I'll start having instructional videos of other people, during which I will conduct a traditional Inkpulp audio style interview, but it will be filmed. And that will be another component of the Inkpulp podcast. Also, I'll put tutorials up on the Inkpulp podcast, which will be short little episodes, focusing on all different stuff. I'll probably do one on my ink station and my inking tools first, because I get a lot of questions on that. So this is going to be much bigger than Inkpulp Audio. This is where we're going. This is the future. So now you can look at my pretty face while you're enjoying my podcast. So I guess that sums up just about everything except one thing. I need you to do this right now, please, please, please. I know you've probably subscribed to this YouTube channel that you're watching this on. But one thing I had to do was create a new YouTube channel. And the reason I did that was for branding consistency with Inkpulp. My old YouTube channel says Sean Crystal on it. Gmail is this old-ass Gmail that I never use, and the name of that account has nothing to do with Inkpulp. And I just thought moving forward, now that I'm going to be on Farside TV, now I'm going to have all these other venues or types of podcasts all associated with the Inkpulp podcast. I just thought it was important to do that. I have 8 or 9 videos up on this channel now. My subscriber list, for only being up for, a couple weeks, is doing well. My viewership is doing really well. Moving that right now is going to hurt me short term. Those numbers of subscribers and views start to build up my ability to monetize this. And that's going to be helpful to keeping this going and keeping the equipment up. So I'm just asking that you please go to my new YouTube channel. The link should be right there below in the comments. I'm going to try to put it everywhere I can. It's already on my Instagram. And what I'm going to ask you to do is not just subscribe. Please do that. Please promote it. And if you don't mind, watch the videos again. If you enjoyed them, you can just put them on in the background. You can press mute if you want. It's fine. I just want to get those numbers. I know I'm not going to get to where I was, but I want to get them up some bit. And after 4 or 5 or 6 months, I should be ahead of where I was. And I'm just glad I thought of this now rather than later. And this also allows me to have a fresh start, because while the Quarantine Chronicles will be up on there, those will be under a section called Inkpulp Audio on my new channel. But the new videos will all be called the Inkpulp Podcast. And yeah, I just want to give a big thank you and a big shout out to Alan, who busts his ass and deals with my madness, because you all know I'm fucking nuts, and makes this thing happen. Without him, I can't do this stuff. So another reason I really want to monetize this is I want to make sure he's getting paid too. I think that's about it, people. Thank you for coming along this journey. Inkpulp Audio is dead, but not gone. The zombie will be called the Inkpulp Podcast.